Road to 50 million. Hello, from the road to 50 million. I've got an interesting background. Today, if you see this, a little child sitting there staring up at the universe and the sky, thinking about all the wonders of everything. I was thinking about something today about what we need and how it plays into this commitment I've got to help 50 million people to discover and to serve with their divine gifts. I had an interesting lunch club conversation today with a fellow who has invented several of the pieces we use in our smartphone, the SIM card. He either invented or has the patent for or played a key role in that. It was quite interesting. And listening to him tell the stories of all the places he's been and things he's invented and people he's worked with was fascinating. The pedigree is amazing. And, is the guy that started Big Blue and, just all kinds of stuff. And, after listening to the whole list of accomplishments, which are things that he'd done, we then turned to some a little bit spiritual topics. And it's interesting because there's always such a difference when people talk about what they do and what it brought them in terms of notoriety or money or fame or position, all that kind of thing. It's just one thing. And then there's another thing that we sometimes treat as so separate, that's the spiritual or unseen or feeling realm, right? So let's talk about that today. I've had an occasion today and yesterday and the day before to spend some good time thinking about what we need. Now, in order to make this conversation make sense in the context of serving with our divine gifts, we need to separate a couple of things. One, we have a body, it's a container. Earlier today I had a headache, and that was my body, having a headache. Something in there. I think it's sinuses. I had a cold for a few days, and I think it's kind of left over from that. I don't think my spirit has a headache. I think it's my sinuses causing this head to ache. But my soul, I don't think that has a headache. And so sometimes when we think about what we need, we only think about this body part. We need food, or this body stops functioning, and air and water and shelter and stuff like that. And then we go to our constructed selves. So there's the spirit of us, that thing in here, that thing, your heart. And some people say that, the center of that, somewhere between the heart and the spine, and, wherever it is. That has needs also. It needs to be nourished just like the body does. And yet we neglect that often, or at least I used to. I don't know. Maybe you didn't ever do that. So let's talk about what we need. Because I think our happiness depends on filling things that we really need. Now, if I don't feed my body, I die. And if I don't breathe, I die. So we're not going to talk about those things. Food and water and air, okay. There is another need. We have a need for companionship, community. We have a need for connection. Those are emotional needs. When I meet people, and I meet lots and lots of them because of this Lunch Club app, and if you don't know what that is, ask me, because it's kind of cool. I've been on it for now nearly 2 years, and I've had 250 or 60 conversations with people all over the world, from the Republic of Georgia and Turkey. I have one tomorrow from or maybe it's Saturday, I don't know, or Friday, with a fellow who lives in Turkey. Met all kinds of cool people, including that guy today. There's a saying that I put in the description I want to talk about that drives this conversation today, and it goes like this. You can never get enough of what you don't need, because what you don't need won't satisfy you. I know that is a true thing from my own experience. And one way that applies, at least in my case, is we think we want money, we think we want position, we think we want notoriety, we think we want to be important and matter, we think we want to have power at different times. And yet when we have those, If we have enough money, it doesn't change anything really. So for a moment we can buy whatever we want, but we're not happy. So then we have phrases like money doesn't buy happiness, but it allows you to enjoy your favorite misery. So I want you to explore what you really need in the context of serving with your divine gifts. Our body needs are pretty simple. Our ego needs, those are all constructed and invented based on our environment, circumstances, the world we live in, the media, social media, movies, TV, newspapers, and all the rest. Right? So let's just look at the power of those needs. Some people chase money no matter what, and they're willing to do anything to get it. Some people chase power or influence no matter what, or being famous, popular, or in control, and they chase it no matter what. Yet, almost without fail, when you get to that goal, you're not happy. And what that means is that isn't what you really needed. It was a story. You thought you needed it. There's even sad examples of that. You see this in movies and books, and maybe you know someone in real life who's been wronged. And what they thought they needed was revenge or sometimes justice. And so they'll pursue it, maybe with lawsuits, maybe with violence, maybe with whatever. And at the end of the day, they get it. They catch them, they do whatever it is. And yet the pain doesn't go away. They're not satisfied because that isn't really what they needed. So instead of revenge, what they might have needed was forgiveness. Instead of justice, what they might have needed was to just let the systems that are in place, whether they're cosmic or legal, take care of things and clean your heart out energetically. My question to you is, what do you need? Really? I can't answer that question for you, but I can give you some examples of me learning what I really needed in the context of you can never get enough of what you don't need, because what you don't need won't satisfy you. So I've had many times in my life where I had more money than I knew what to do with. I wasn't happy. I have had any physical thing I could talk about, I've had. None of that made me happy. What I've discovered is what we need love. We need to be using our gifts, and we need to be in service. Those are the things that we need. And you know how I know? Because when we love and are loved, we are happy. Wow! You can never get enough of what you don't need because what you don't need doesn't satisfy you. And if you have you give and receive love, you can be happy. And it doesn't matter about some of those physical things, right? We also need to be in community and in service to one another. So if we have the opportunity to love and be loved, if we have the opportunity to develop and serve with the gifts that we were given, the divine gifts that are in our souls, and maybe represented in our physical ability. If you have a music gift, maybe you sing, or maybe you play an instrument, or maybe you write well. And when we have an opportunity to be in a place where we give and receive love, and where we are serving with our divine gifts, we can be happy. And that doesn't depend on even any money. It doesn't depend on whether or not we're even healthy. Like, I know people, I've been one of them, who've been ill and happy, who don't have a good prospect about their health, and they're happy. How does that happen? Well, it's because happy doesn't depend on money, and it doesn't even depend on whether or not I'm healthy. I'll give you an example. One of the times I was in the hospital in the end of 2018, I woke up on December 5th, 2018, paralyzed from the waist down. Funniest thing, I got out of bed and fell on my face. I tried to stand up and I couldn't. Nothing worked. I went to the hospital, 911, the only time I've ever actually ridden to the hospital in an ambulance. And they determined they needed to do emergency surgery. And so I was wheeled to operate from the ER to the OR, right? They did emergency surgery and a bunch of other stuff. And I was in the hospital for a number of days after that. And you know what? I was really happy. I was happy anyway. I got to do my coaching calls, and I had a weird brace on my neck, and my back looked like a stegosaurus and everything else. So there was real danger to my life and to my future ability to walk and a bunch of other stuff. And I was happy anyway, because I was able to serve. Now, I'm going to say something bold, and you can be mad and like it or not like it. You won't be happy, truly happy, until you learn to love, be loved, and serve with your divine gifts. That's the reason I'm doing this road to 50 million. Now, if you followed this at all, you know my 50 million commitment is to help you, 50 million of you, but you right here, right now, discover your divine gifts and then choose to serve with them. That's my goal. I'm going to help 50 million people do that. Why would I set such a goal? Because I've discovered that learning to serve with our divine gifts is the fastest and most consistent way to being happy. And I'm committed to adding good to the world and happiness and joy. I've discovered that as I love and serve with my divine gifts, I've been happier than I've ever been, regardless of the amount of money I have made and all the rest. I've discovered that consistently as I work with clients. So my commitment is to help 50 million people to do that. Let's talk about what that means. Well, it might mean to do the thing that you hear about. Do what you love and the money will follow. It might mean creating a business with your passion. It might mean learning to serve in such a way that you get paid. Everything about your divine gifts doesn't have to get paid. I'm not suggesting that. But I am saying very specifically, it is possible to create a business from service that you do with your gifts. That I know. In fact, I've never had a conversation with someone where we've talked long enough to really understand what they love, what they're able to do, what they like to do, that we haven't been able to think of a really clear way that they could create money with it if they want to, if you want to. I've helped lots and lots of people write books, lots and lots of people create courses and create coaching programs and create other kinds of things that let them do what they love, you love, and the money can follow. I did that. I didn't know I could until late in my 50s. So I was a long time coming to the party, and I lived decades chasing the corporate world and making money that way and being miserable. And the whole story goes with that. I'm not going to tell that now because you can read about it in the book Tightrope of Depression if you're interested in the whole gruesome backstory. But my point here is this. Number one, I want to encourage you to discover your gifts. That's one of the most important discoveries you can make. Number two, spend enough thought that you can figure out how to serve real needs with those gifts. If you want to, you can also think about how to make it into work and a business. My purpose here with this series is three things. One, I love meeting people who are already serving with their divine gifts and adding good to the world. My podcast, Your Ultimate Life, is full of those kinds of people. If you are living that kind of life, I'd love to talk to you just because I love growing the network. And maybe there's opportunities. I'm getting ready to start in January back on LA Talk Radio. Now, I was on LA Talk Radio in 2014, 13 and 14, I think, so 8 or 9 years ago, for a year and a half. And we did some 80 episodes, one a week. And this time they have video, so we're going to do live streaming video and audio once a week, also about this topic, and I'm going to have some great guests. I've got a television program. I'm looking for guests, and I'm looking for people who want to spread the message of service and love and divine gifts and that being happy. So if you're doing that, I want to talk. If you aren't and you wish you could, or you think you can't, or you're afraid of it, or you've tried and failed, that's the people I'm here for, the 50 million. I'm here to help you learn to do that because it's possible. There's no reason. It's easier now than it's ever been. The technology's better. The reach is easier. You know, the opportunity to reach the whole world, that has only existed in the last 20 or 30 years, right? Before that, it was so much harder, so easy. So if you want to do it and you're stuck, I'm here to help you. And the third invitation I have is I'm trying to reach 50 million people, and so I can use the help anyone who's looking to help spread that message of hope, service, love, opportunity, and possibility. Now, what do you need? Do you have everything you need? Are you happy? because one of the things I've finally discovered is you can be happy today. Loving yourself, caring for yourself, and serving those around you will make you happier faster than any amount of money, any amount of other kind of success. Loving yourself and serving those around you will be a wonderland of just like that little kid there staring at the sky in wonder. We'll see you tomorrow on the road to 50 million.